Industry 45 with Cora Perry and Tyler.
Love how Tyler doesn't have a last name.
I don't know Tyler.
He's like Madonna.
Yes, Industry 45. GiantTV.ca, brand new website, by the way. All done by Joe, who's the hardest working guy here at the station. Although he's just sitting over there drinking whatever he's drinking. Shane, Christopher Neal, I'm in the room right now with my favorite person ever. That, of course, being me. But you guys are here as well, Rose Cora Perry and Tyler Randall.
Yes.
Tyler does have a last name. Thank you for coming, Tyler.
You're welcome.
I'd say thank you to you, but you were always coming. You know what I mean? But Tyler, we had to convince to get here.
That's true. I was coming whether you invited me or not.
That's
at
right.
this
I was
point.
promised popcorn, and
Yeah.
I smell it.
That's
so,
right. Yeah, Jeffrey's making some popcorn. You're welcome to leave us anytime and have some. So let's start with this so that the viewer gets an understanding of who you are. Talk about your past a little bit as an artist,
Right.
And kind of where you are now with Tyler, which is on top of the world, clearly.
Clearly. So when I was about 15 years old, I actually founded my own record label. I was just in an all-girl high school band, and I wanted to professionalize what we were doing. So I founded my own record label. That band ended up disbanding shortly after our debut release because people wanted to go to college and whatnot. But
College?
Yeah, I know. What a concept. Damn musicians. So I stuck with rock and roll, and then I founded my more successful of the two projects within that time frame, which was Anti-Hero. We ended up getting signed to a major label, played Warped Tour a couple of years, toured all over the States and whatnot. That one disbanded probably around 2006, 2007. So then I went solo. I released 2 solo albums. Again, did lots of touring with that. And now I'm back fronting a rock and roll band with the awesome Tyler, who
Pipes.
Yes, Pipes, who kills it on drums for me. And we founded The Truth Untold. That's our band in 2016. We've been touring aggressively throughout the U.S. market, as well as in Southwestern Ontario. We are sponsored by several places, Black Star Amplification, Daisy Rock Guitars, and Mapox Canada.
Mapox?
Mapox, yes.
Well, she's not a drummer. I mean, whatever, right?
Mapex Canada, and we've played several industry showcases in the States, things like Summer NAMM in Nashville. We played
Right.
the Whiskey A Go Go. So, as I said, aggressively kind of touring the U.S. marketplace because that's where the music industry is anymore.
I love the aggressiveness of
I
all
was going to
that.
say passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the corner, you're like texting.
I am Italian. I can't help it. It's part of my heritage.
So one thing, you do a lot of things really well, but
Thank you.
And I know that you're not big on social media,
No.
but you do it really well, and
try.
it's very aggressive. It really is. And so if you were to give someone advice on doing good social media,
Right.
what would you tell an artist? Because your stuff stands out.
Thank you.
Whether it's how you tag it, what the imaging, you have professional photos. You do everything first class. That's
Thank you.
number one. So,
Thank you.
But speak to that a little bit about the social media angle, because
Well, I think number one, even if you don't like the social media that you're using, you really have to understand the functionality of it. So something that you should absolutely always take advantage of is, the hashtag limit, for example. If you can use 30 hashtags, friggin' use them because
you
don't
use
know.
like 40 and 50. I see it.
You're not allowed. If you could, I would. But you never know what somebody's going to be doing an associated search with that might bring up your own content. I also think it's really good to try and do tie-ins with similar places. So, I mean, being a female guitarist, anytime I can try and find a social media account that specifically likes highlighting female guitarists, that's good for their brand. It's also good for our brand, right? And getting us out to an audience that we might not reach independently. So I think the thing is with social media that a lot of artists do is they kind of think in an isolated way. They think, well, if I'm putting all this content out there and it's really, really fantastic and I'm tagging it, it's on my profile, someone will see it. It's like, well, no, it's about the social aspect. That's really
Right,
the
yeah.
more important aspect. And you have to be connecting your content with other people's content and similarly sharing back and forth. So that's this reciprocal thing. And that way you're expanding your reach that you would just, not get if you're just focusing on just yourself.
Do you get a lot of gigs from social media or no?
I would
Like, is
say,
it? I mean, I don't know. Is that not really?
I think it plays into it because, anymore with today's industry standards, something that people do look for is regular posting, regular content, showing that you're active on social media, that you're a working band. So that would be really no different than traditional tactics of indicating that if you're playing a gig, you've gone around and put up 100 posters downtown. Like a
Right.
booker or a promoter wants to see that you are going to, I hate to say the term again, aggressively, but they want to see that you're going to promote the gig because there are so many great talented bands out there, but they want somebody who's going to promote well, that's going to bring a crowd, that's going to be an asset to the lineup. If you're just a great band and they have 10 different people to choose from, they're going to go with the one that actually is going to be an asset and help publicizing their event too. So despite the fact that I really do try to, do the social media thing and promote things on there too, I still think that traditional media, such as radio, such as TV, such as newspaper,
fax machines.
yes, it's equally important because I can tell you how many times, or I can't tell you how many times, bookers and promoters have complimented us as a band for getting them publicity for their events in a way that they didn't even. So getting a newspaper article because it was like the debut of this Canadian award-winning rock band to their little town or whatever. And if we can help publicize it too, again, it's that reciprocal relationship and showing that, yeah, we're there to rock and we're going to put on a great show, but we're also going to promote this event because we believe in it and we want to align our interests.
So let me ask you this then. You have a great website.
Thank you.
And you have an EPK on your website as well, I think?
Yes.
So the website, now help me with this. So the website is for fans typically.
Yes.
And an EPK is typically for bookers.
That's right.
So is that how you kind of look at that? You're putting your fan stuff like on the website for your fans as opposed like help. I guess I'm again trying to help somebody who says, do I need an EPK?
Oh,
do
yes.
I just need a website?
Yes.
What is more important, or are they both equally important?
Well, they're two different beasts entirely, right? So a lot of people anymore, because we have things like Facebook or like Twitter and Instagram, websites have gone by the wayside and they're just focusing on having a social media presence. But if somebody really wants to get invested in you as an artist and find out more about you, Facebook is not sufficient for that.
Right.
Like in addition to being a musician, I've also worked as a media host. I've worked as a journalist doing a lot of writing.
Model?
Yeah, like I've done a variety of different things. Tyler is obviously the model
obviously,
between the two of us. Goes with that, like, look at that jawline. But I mean, I've done a variety of different things, and if somebody wants to find out more about that, or some of the non-for-profit work that I do, Facebook is not a sufficient way to be able to promote all of that simultaneously.
Right.
So my website, I can break up into different sections to be like, ooh, I want to find out more about this or this.
It's just not a splash. Like, it's a lot of bands have splash pages. Like, oh, here's our YouTube, and that's pretty much the whole thing. Like, it's kind of important to make sure all the focus is on you. So website is important.
Right.
Too.
And an EPK, on the other hand, like that is specifically catered to all a booker cares about. What have you done in terms of impressive gigs? How do you sound live?
Yeah.
What do you look like? How have you marketed yourself? Do you have any impressive accomplishments? That's it. Bare bones minimum. Give me the meat of what this band is about.
And I said this earlier, but you guys do a great job with like professional photos. You spend the money and the time. I assume that that's a big part of this, because you see some bands, they'll have a website and their photo, here's our band photo, and you're like, it looks like someone took it like
on a
in
cell
a dark
phone.
room, on a cell phone.
Yeah.
And how important, I guess, is it to maintain that professionalism rather, to what's the perception right out there?
I think
it helps cut through the white noise, because
Yes.
like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of bands out there, but like, what do they look like? What does the production on their album sound like? What do the photos look like? Because it helps cut through the white noise of the other bands, and that's what helps you get noticed.
Yeah,
is
you want to
better
make
quality.
yourself stand out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the whole.
So what makes you stand out?
It's about marketability, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if I was to say to you, what makes you stand out against someone else besides the music? Okay,
Right,
because you
right.
got to have good music. I get it. But what would you say that is?
I would say that kind of
Blonde
what.
hair.
Yeah.
I'd say there's a couple things. I'd say that something that makes us really rare in the rock and roll world is that we're a family-friendly rock band. And I don't say that to be cheesy, but I say that in that we don't have an image of being associated with drugs or alcohol.
right.
And so we, as a consequence, can play family-friendly events because there's no concerns that we're going to trash hotel rooms or shout profanities on stage and upset people who have little ones.
I upset a lot of people, I know.
Well, no, but I do think that that's an important part of our brand.
Right.
Yeah, we're rock and roll, and yeah, we love to deliver, awesome, obnoxious shows and have fun on stage and do all the things that a traditional rock band does. But we also don't want people to feel like they're scared to book us because they don't know if we're going to show up half in the bag, hungover, playing like idiots, and shouting at little children in the audience,
Right.
because that's not appropriate for some of the gigs that we do. So I think that's an important part of our brand. I also think The other part of our brand is that, again, because we focus on both traditional and social media, we provide an extra asset there in that, we really work hard to promote everything that we're a part of. We only align ourselves with gigs that we really believe in too. So something that is a cause near and dear to my heart is mental health issues.
Right.
So
So
again,
that's something that
in addition to going out there and playing, just the normal kind of rock and roll festival circuit, we also donate our time and talents to important causes like that.
Right.
So we try to show as a band who we are as people, not just as musicians, but causes that are important to us and, why we are bookable in different circumstances.
Well, you're bookable because you're two people typically that play, and that's a lot easier for a booker. Now, we had this conversation before. You do have a bass player sometimes.
Yes.
I guess.
Two.
So you have two
That
different
we
ones. One's in the
alternate
west, one's on the east. Yes. But you always play now as a three-piece. But you guys are like the core of the band.
Yes, I would constitute Tyler and myself as the band.
As the band.
We founded this project.
You're hardcore. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean,
You're aggressively hardcore.
yeah.
it's our music, it's our arrangements, and so when we do have session players,
You're hiring somebody to come in.
you got it.
Okay.
So it's not that we don't welcome if they have some exciting creative contributions, but at the same time, it's our arrangements, it's our music, so they're there to make us look good, not there to try to rewrite the songbook.
Right. So I get it. You mentioned some gigs earlier. Summer NAMM.
Yes.
Nashville, Whiskey A Go Go, which was also part of Winter NAMM,
Right.
in LA. And I look at the list here, like Providence, Pittsburgh. I thought it said Three Rivers Stadium. It says Three
Not
Rivers.
yet.
It says Three Rivers Regatta, but it's right. Chicago, New Jersey, Ohio. So if I'm a band and I go, wow, I think we're pretty good, and I think we got a good EPK and some good photos, but we're not playing places like this. So how do you get to these places? Is it relationships? Is
Yes.
it like, give me an idea of like how do you get to Los Angeles to Nashville, and because you got a cool story about why you were invited to Nashville, I think there.
Right,
So-
and that relationship goes back 15 years. So when I was in my original band that I talked about when I was 15 and I founded that label, I found out about this cool new brand that was specifically, it was the first time thing that ever happened in the marketplace. They were the originators of it. They were coming up with a guitar brand specifically catered to petite women such as myself who have a small little hand span and can't handle the weight of, an 11-pound guitar because it just, reefs on our shoulders and our bodies when we're trying to play rock and roll. So this company was called Daisy Rock Guitars. They didn't have a lot of visibility in Canada yet. They had just launched their brand in the States and they were trying to get more visibility in Canada. So I reached out to them expressing who I was, what my goals were as a musician, and how I thought we were kind of aligned. I really, really liked the brand. I liked what they were all about. I wanted to be able to promote it in Canada. I got picked up as their first ever Canadian sponsored artist. And because of that relationship, we got invited down to Summer NAMM in Nashville to do a showcase on behalf of Daisy Rock. Through that showcase, Tyler got sponsored by Mapex Drums.
No, not Mapox.
Not Mapex. I'm sorry.
Joe's a drummer. He can appreciate it.
Mapex Drums, and I got picked up by Black Star Amps.
Yeah.
And so as a consequence of those relationships, then we got further invited to do a showcase at the Whiskey in Los Angeles for Winter NAMM on behalf of Black Star Amplification. So again,
So the sponsorship is a huge part of being able to get to these places.
it is, but
part
it
of
isn't.
it,
I mean,
yeah.
it's part of it, but also, just in general, networking and relationships,
Yeah,
right?
because there are bands who aren't endorsed who get awesome shows too. So it's just about who you know and the relationships you have kind of deal. So
Right.
yeah.
And working very, very hard and being persistent.
Or
So
having
in-
a lot of money.
And,
Yeah.
and Tyler has all the money.
Yes,
Yeah.
obviously. Look at that face.
I know.
That doesn't
Jawline.
come-
We
that
were talking
doesn't
about
come
that,
for
right?
free.
So you obviously self-manage.
Yes.
Do you think it's important for bands to have managers? Do you think they should all self-manage? Do you think, like, where is that line where you say, you know what, it's time to get a manager? Or does it depend on the person in the band? Because some bands are horrible. They can't even manage getting up in the morning, let alone anything else.
I personally, but I mean, given that I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I'm going to have a very different perspective on this than I
Right.
think the average person would that doesn't have that background. But seeing my parents work really hard and develop their own businesses, something that has been very difficult for me, but I think a really good growing process has been learning the ins and outs of the music industry and learning how it works and screwing up a lot and making a ton of mistakes mistakes to be able to get to where we are today. But I think it's important having that background, because should we find ourselves in a situation where we do get picked up by a label, well, we would know what to look out for if somebody's trying to, pull the wool over our eyes. Wherein, I mean, there are so many tragic stories of the past, like Aerosmith, if I can use them as an example. Their first contract.
Are they new?
Yeah. I don't. They haven't been around for very long. But their first contract, from my understanding, they actually sold away the rights to a lot of their music. And now when they play Walk This Way and Dream On Live, they have to pay royalties to play their own song.
Yeah.
Do you know how heartbreaking that is? But they were kids when they signed that contract. So I actually like the fact that I dove in as a youngster and kind of figured out a lot of things on my own. But again, made a lot of mistakes. Certainly don't know everything, but I personally think for any band, especially in today's industry where there's so much more focus on you to have to do everything from making cute little videos to knowing how to do this and this effectively, I think it's still the back line and the basis of all that is understand your industry. This is a business.
Right. So let's talk about music a bit, because that's what you do. You're going to get into that. So you did an Adele cover, Rolling in the Deep.
Yes.
And you did a video.
Yes.
And I've often said this, your videos are incredible.
Thank you.
Very well done, first class. So my first question is, why did you choose to do a cover? Why the Adele cover?
Right.
And also to create a video to go along with it?
That was 3 questions.
I know. Can you answer them in under a minute, please?
Adele specifically, because she is a phenomenal vocalist and I wanted to prove I could pull it off. So I felt that it was a good testament to us as musicians. I also thought it would be a really, really cool way to reinterpret a song that is so known and so beloved in a completely different rockified kind of way. Kind of like what Chris Cornell did when he redid Billie Jean. It just gave that song new life and new meaning and made it hit people in a different emotional context. And that, to me, if you're going to do a cover, do it like that.
Right.
As far as the video, again, we wanted to homage the original, but also put our own twist on it to intrigue people to check out our own original content. So I'm not a proponent of doing covers at all. I think there are far too many cover bands and tribute bands out there. They are oversaturating the market. But we wanted to do something to open up our stuff to a new potential audience that has not heard of us. If they check this out, in hopes they'll also check out our original stuff and be like, wow, this band is actually pretty darn good.
We also didn't want to learn a new song either. So
Okay, so you ready for this question?
Tyler, seriously.
That's why you brought them.
It's true. The comic relief.
I'm a bit loopy.
So,
right now.
is rock dead?
No.
And I knew your answer, but because how we were doing something a couple weeks ago, you and I, and you were like, yeah, it was like rock's not dead, and
No.
I never said it was, but
No, but
what are you jumping all over me for?
A lot of people like Gene Simmons himself have.
But why is that the perception?
Because in the mainstream world it is, and the mainstream world has overtaken everything, and if that's all you see, you're going to make these assumptions.
Right.
However, you can't even go by those rules anymore, because in the world of social media and the internet, everything is niche, and everything is about finding pockets of fans that just love what you do. Like we just played, it was last weekend, right? In Ohio?
Yeah.
It's like freaking Woodstock there when we play.
Oh, it is,
People go nuts. They're doing crazy interpretive dancing. They are so starving for rock and roll. It's exhilarating to play an audience like that. So that's not to say that everyone loves rock and roll. However, there most certainly is still very much a huge marketplace out there and a fan base for people who are craving it and they want to hear new music. And I think part of the problem is that unfortunately, like the radio stations I used to listen to as a kid, when I listened to them as a kid, that's how I discovered so many new bands. Right. Now the new music is still stuff from 30 freaking years ago.
So we have a classic rock station here.
Right. No, but even
because that's what people, that generation is.
Even the contemporary rock stations are still playing things that are 30 years ago. And believe me, I friggin' love the 90s. Yeah. But if you want to have new talent actually getting the support behind it and being able to take back the mainstream and be like, heck yeah, rock is still alive, we need to be creating places where it can be shared and reach vaster audiences.
Right. So what do you guys listen to? Like, what do you listen to, Tom?
Right now?
Yeah. Like right now you're listening to me.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I was droning out.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so what would you listen to? What's
To Rose's Displeasure, like Devin Townsend kind of stuff, and weird instrumental stuff. Yeah.
He
it's
listens to
niche.
what I call like progressive instrumental metal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's weird stuff.
Well, you're a weird guy.
I am a weird guy.
Just-
I like it because no one's talking, so it's good. Yeah.
What are you saying, Tyler? I had something I was going to ask you too. Go ahead. You answer that question too.
Well, when we were driving up, actually, we were listening to our Canadian friends Big Wreck.
Yes. Yeah, you're a big Wreck fan.
We
yes.
freaking love
Yeah,
Big
saw
Wreck.
them twice live.
Yes,
yeah.
and we have like their entire discography.
Wow.
You know, so
Bought their new CD too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We love Big Wreck. We love supporting Canadian talent. We love supporting talent that is still going. We love supporting new talent. I particularly, because being a female vocalist and I want to be able to, continue to improve and hone my craft, I listen to a lot of female singers. So every time I listen to Pat Benatar, I want to cry because I'm like, damn, how is she that good?
Actually, I read a quote, yes, about you. She sings like Benatar,
I've
plays
been
like Jack.
compared to her, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I hope one day to be as phenomenal as her.
Two final questions, and then we're going to do our second segment about the event that's coming up.
Sure.
Now I forgot the first one, so we're going to go to the second one. No, I just had it, and it went out of my head.
Damn it, Shane.
So you have here, Rose Cora Perry has 3 visions you hope to achieve: to inspire, to provoke thought, and to relate.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Absolutely. So lyrically, I'm one of those artists that writes very, very bare bones, very organically, and very authentically. I want to be able to write songs for other people out there who are listening to the material, and whatever they're going through, whether it's good or bad, there's somebody out there who understands them and that they can relate to, and that, it makes them think about things in a different way, because that's what music always did for me. So, I mean, growing up in the 90s, there was no thing as social media. There was no thing, no such thing as liking your favorite artist or following this. Like, to me, it was just entirely about the music and having that really, really strong and potent emotional connection to a song, and
Right.
just being like, wow, that's me. This person doesn't even know me, but this song is about my life. And somehow my life is a bit better having heard this song and knowing that this artist went through that experience. So I try to do the same thing. I'm very 90s. What can I say?
It's funny because I'm 50 and I listen to like 18 in Life by Skid Row, and I go, yes, that was my life.
Yeah.
There were moments of that song that remind me of my youth and that I grew up with, and music's so impactful.
For sure.
I know the second question. I remember now. So what
is it about how he achieves the jawline?
Yeah, I think so. What is your goal now? Like when I look at everything you offer, and I've seen you play a number of times, obviously in that. Like, are you looking to get a record deal? Does it matter? What are the next 2 years look like for you? Because I know you work so hard. Are you happy with what you're doing? Like, what would make the next level for you? What is the next level?
Well, Roxodus would have been that.
Yeah. By the way, it's their fault that Roxodus was
It's
canceled.
not our
Yes.
fault at all.
And I was going to interview Aerosmith.
Yeah.
How
And
did
we
that
were
make out?
going to open for
Yes.
Aerosmith, just for the record.
Yeah. Way to go, Rose.
Yeah, it was Tyler. It's the jawline. Too much jealousy. What I will
Easy
say
now.
is, I'm sorry. I will say, number one, we are obviously beyond grateful and appreciative of all the incredible opportunities we have had thus far, and they have all in each way contributed to us getting to where we are. What we would ideally like to happen, which would be a dream for us, is to be able to go on the road as an opening band for, somebody like Joan freaking Jett.
Right. So
And be
like
like,
tour
hell
on
yeah.
a big
Like a
tour.
booking agent
Yes.
would be nice. Yeah, like
Because it's a lot of work to
Yeah.
self-manage. And I mean, it's not for the faint of heart either. Don't expect any handouts. I most certainly did not get any in my career.
Yeah. Me neither. Okay, so Rockaween, we're going to come right back and talk to Tyler and Rose Cora Perry. And also, don't forget the other side of the story. We'll talk about that real briefly as well, because this is relatively new.
Yes.
We'll be right back. Industry 45, Giant TV.